Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, worshippers of all ages, welcome to YouTube. My name is SeaRaptor, and it's time to bring you a first look at Tier 9 German battle cruiser, super cruiser, whatever you want to call this thing. This ship is Siegfried. Now, of course, Wargaming has been on a tear lately, producing these kind of super cruisers in the Tier 8, Tier 9 bracket. We've had Alaska, we've had Azuma and Yoshino, we've had Kronstadt and Stalingrad last year. Now it's time for the Germans to get in on the action, and here we are with Siegfried. So let's take a look around. We're going to spend most of our time comparing her to the other ships of this type in this tier bracket, the 9s and 10s, the Alaskas and the Kronstadts of the world. So from a survivability perspective, she comes in pretty good here. 62,850 hit points. That puts her, well, way up there, right? Like, she's behind Kronstadt and Stalingrad, but she definitely comes in ahead of even Yoshino at tier 10. 37% torpedo damage reduction is torpedo protection is best in class. Like, it doesn't get any better than this. Kronstadt trails her slightly at 34%. Everybody else is significantly worse. From an armor's perspective, her belt armor, her max belt armor down here, 190 millimeters. Not terrible. Again, still behind Kronstadt and Alaska, but a little ahead of the Japanese vessels of this class and Stalingrad. So she's a cruiser still, right? Like, you're not going to be able to go broadside to a battleship and expect to get away with it. But 190 millimeters means that you can get away with some pretty skanky things when fighting heavy cruisers, which is kind of the sort of thing that this ship is designed to go up against. Deck armor coming in at 30 millimeters here through the center and 27 on the extremities. That basically ties her or matches her up with Yoshino. That's going to make her, well, not very vulnerable. I mean, not very resistant to a lot of the high explosive rounds she's going to see, unfortunately. But it is what it is. Maneuverability, 33.5 knots. Again, right smack in the middle. Most of the other ships in this class are between 33 and 35 knots. You're right there along with them. 880 meters in our turning circle. Again, pretty typical of the class. 14 seconds on the rudder shift, also very comparable. Basically tying the Japanese vessels a little slower than Alaska, who is not quite best in class. That still remains with Stalingrad at 12.5. Surface detection, this is a particular bone that I have to pick with Wargaming because her base surface detection here, 15.1 kilometers. Very typical of the class, right? Again, Yoshino, Azuma, all both come in at 15.1. Alaska's only a little behind at 15.5. The Russian ships of this type are much more detectable, but 15.1 is better detection, better stealth than Tier 10 heavy cruiser Hindenburg. That just irritates the bejesus out of me, and I'm going to scream from the heavens that this needs to get fixed, or we need to do something. Honestly, I think Hindenburg needs to be brought down because this is insane. But that's a personal opinion, and I admit that I have bias here because I love Hindenburg so much. But anyways, Aero Detection, again, 10.7. She has literally the exact same detection values detection values as Yoshino and Azuma, which is really nice when you think about it because she has huge main battery guns. These are 15-inch main battery guns. This ship in this turret configuration with these guns is essentially a Gneisenau. Okay, 26-second reload, 36-second turret traverse, but she gets cruiser dispersion on these guns. And with that kind of stealth, this could be a very nasty surprise for certain ships in certain situations. I'm really curious to see how she plays. These are exactly the same 300mm guns that all the other German battleships have throughout the line, only now they're on a cruiser, and we're getting cruiser dispersion to go with them. 20.6 kilometers base range, pretty good there. Again, fairly comparable given the other ships that she's being compared to. Nothing outrageous there. She does come with torpedoes. These are basically the same torpedoes you're going to find on Graf Spee. They're the 8-kilometer torpedoes with a 90-second reload. It looks like these are quadruple launchers mounted along the center, kind of amidships here. You can see them here down below the main deck. Given that mounting position, I'm assuming, I'm hoping we're going to have really good firing angles, but we won't know that, of course, till we're able to take her in a game and see for ourselves. A defense is definitely one area where this ship really kind of stands out a little bit amongst her peers. and let me show you why. The long range is not really it. Now, she does have the longest range of all of the ships of this type, 6 kilometers. It's not huge. It's not a significantly better range, but it is there. She goes out to 6 kilometers. Most of the other ships of this type stop at 5.8. Stalingrad, of course, going out to 6.6. So her long range aura is okay. 150 DPS, not terrible. But her mid-range aura, this is brutal. Starting at 4 kilometers all the way up to click and a half, she has the best mid-range aura continuous DPS of any of the ships of this type. Plus, the 9 bursts, that 1190 and the 9 bursts are also very, very good for the flak bursts in this mid-range. Her short-range DPS is not the best in class, but it's certainly not anything to sneer at there at 343 DPS. So from an A perspective, this ship is in pretty good shape. Consumables-wise, of course, we have access to the fantastic German Hydro. This is the same Hydro you'll find on Rune and Hindenburg at this tier bracket. And, of course, she does have access to defensive fire as well. I honestly think I would probably take defensive fire. A ship like this should probably not be charging after destroyers. Not with these guns. It's just not what she's for. You do get access to both spotting aircraft and fighters. Again, I would probably take the fighter. The spotting aircraft might be beneficial, though. I could see a case for either here. But right now, as irritating as it is to play against carriers at high tier, I would probably go with the fighter. And of course, she does get a standard heal to go here. Again, tier 9 cruiser, you get a heal. There it is. So yeah, like that's a quick overview of Siegfried. I'm excited to try this ship, guys. I'm really, really curious to see how she stands up. You guys, if you've watched the channel, you know I really like Yoshino, but I did not care for Azuma. Those torpedoes made a big difference in how Yoshino plays. With this ship, it's going to be all about these main battery guns. Can you use her stealth and her ability, her armor, her heals, and everything to put these guns into a position where they can do horrible things to enemy cruisers and possibly enemy battleships? I don't know, but that's what it's going to take to get the maximum amount out of this ship when it comes time. All right, guys, that's it. I got a few more of these videos going up. We got a few more ships to look at over the course of the weekend here on PTS. So thanks, be safe, and I'll catch you next time.